Kakadosh, Boker Or, Bekiim Bahalacha, day 65, page 195, Halacha Membet. If a room is divided into sections, by a curtain, and some of the 10 people are on one side of the curtain and the rest are on the other side, the halacha depends on the purpose of the curtain. If the purpose is to prevent people from seeing each other, but it is not meant to divide the room into two rooms, and the people on both sides count together to form a minyan. If the curtain's purpose is to create a halachic separation between one side and another, the people cannot be counted together. In this case, the two sides of the curtain are considered to be two separate rooms. A halachic separation could be, for example, if a Torah scroll or tefillin is on one side, and the curtain is drawn in order to permit activities, that are forbidden in the presence of those holy objects. So, for example, to make a mechitza, for example, for relations or sleeping or things like that. Okay? So let's see the footnote. The footnote is on 357. Rav Yaakov Castro stipulated that this leniency applies only when the purpose of the curtain is to maintain privacy or modesty. The Pri Chadash added that if the curtain serves as a halachic partition, it is considered a full-fledged wall, and it prevents people on both sides from being counted to form a minyan. The Pri Mishabura disagreed and ruled that people are counted together in any case. Still, the Kaf HaChaim stringently rules like the Pri Chadash. If the curtain does not reach the ceiling, what happens if the curtain is only up but it doesn't go until the ceiling? The Netivot HaChaim said in the response to Tshuva and the Or Letzion, ruling that even if the curtain has a halachic purpose, the people on both sides count together as long as the curtain does not reach all the way to the ceiling. If a space of 3 tefachim from the ceiling is now blocked by the curtain, it does not separate people into two groups, regardless of the curtain's purpose. The Halacha Brura also agreed with this. What happens if it's made out of wooden panels? So it says over here, the Piskei Teshuvot states the discussion applies to a curtain or partition that can be drawn or folded away. If the partition is a wall constructed from wooden or drywall panels, it is always considered a full-fledged wall, separating the room into two, although it is intended to be a temporary structure. In the footnote, the author explained that the poskim debated this halacha and that it is identical to the case described above in the footnote to the Halacha 41 of a sukkah that is built adjacent to a house. Since the Kaf HaChaim writes Sofer ruled stringently in the case, that ruling applies to this case as well. As mentioned, footnote Halacha number 41, the Halacha Brura demonstrated that there is a room for leniency in the case of the sukkah as long as the people on both sides can see each other. And would this apply? This would apply obviously in this case as well. Okay, Halacha Mem Gimel 43. Someone who's standing under the lintel of the entrance to the synagogue, exactly where the doors are positioned, when they are closed, cannot be counted together with those inside of the synagogue. He certainly cannot be counted if he stands under the outer portion of the lintel beyond the door's position. If he stands in a place that would be inside the synagogue if the doors were closed, he's considered inside the synagogue and would be counted as others. So sometimes, by the way, we're talking about like the door frame. So sometimes you have the inner side, the outer side, or all those things. So that's what we're talking about. If the entrance has no doors, the entire breadth of the lintel is considered the outside of the synagogue, and a person standing anywhere under the lintel cannot be counted together with those that are inside. Says 358. The Bet Yosef Maran pointed out that according to Rashi, the entire lintel of the entrance is considered inside, and someone standing there can be counted together with those that are inside the synagogue. According to Rabbi Yonah, however, the entire breadth of the lintel is considered outside the synagogue, and he cannot be counted. Maran added that the Rambam concurred with Rabbi Yonah since he ruled based on the mitzvah of Lo tosim nabay min basar chutza, you must not take the meat outside of the house, that it is forbidden to move the meat of the Korban Pesach to a position beneath the lintel of the entrance of the house where it is being eaten. Based on this, the Shulchan Aruch states that the breadth of the lintel is considered outside regarding the halacha of counting people together to form a minyan. The Magen Avraham cited the Tanya Rabbati, the ruling that the breadth of the lintel is considered inside. So basically it's a mechloket. Is it inside or is it outside? And that's also the ruling of the Chikre Lev the Mishabura, that is brought down in the Oziel. The latter argued that someone standing under the lintel should be counted together with the inside, just as Shulchan Aruch counts someone standing in the room adjacent to a larger room if there's no wall separating between them. This appears in the opinion of Rabbi Eliyahu of Vilna as well, the Gaon Vilna. The response of the Ish Matzliach refuted the position of the Even Oziel. The Bet Oved commented, in light of this debate, that we must rule stringently in practice and not count a person, as he says over here, the Bet Oved commented in the light of this debate, we must rule stringently in practice and not count the person standing under the lintel together with those inside the synagogue. On the other hand, the person cannot be counted together with those who are outside the synagogue either. The since Tanya Rabbati ruled that he is considered inside the building, the Kaf HaChaim Sofer likewise ruled that he cannot be counted together with those inside or with those outside. The response Ish Matzliach remarked that this is correct from a standpoint of an abundance of caution, but technically the halacha follows the Shulchan Aruch that basically someone standing there can be counted towards with the ones who are outside. Okay? We still have 359, 60, and 61. The Mishnah Brura asserted that follows the ruling of the Shulchan Aruch, which concurs with Rabbeinu Yerucham, and the Yad Ephraim likewise ruled that the person is halachically considered outside. So if you're underneath the lintel, you're considered outside. The Gaon Vilna, however, said that you could be counted with the people inside. The Mishabra cited Yad Ephraim, stating that all the poskim agreed that in this case the person is considered inside. Here we're talking about where the doors were closed and he's on the inside. Okay, that means if the doors were closed, he was considered inside. Okay, if the doors were closed. Remember, here the doors are open. But if he's in a place that if they would close the door, he's already on the inside, that's already, you could be lenient. So he said the Mishabra added that according to the Pri Megadim interpretation, Rabbeinu Yerucham's opinion, the person is considered outside even in this case. Nevertheless, he concluded that we could treat him in the inside. The Bekiim Sofer ruled that even a person standing under the inner position of the lintel should not be counted together with those that are inside. But he says, but the response of the Ish Matzliach went against this. And the Halacha Brura agreed with the Ish Matzliach, saying that you could be lenient. 361, which is the last footnote. The Chikre Lev pondered the halacha regarding the lintel of an entranceway where there are no doors attached. So one might argue that the lintel can be considered outside if there are doors that close, leaving a section lintel outside. But if there are no doors, so then why is it considered outside? In contrast, the Bet Oviel wrote that if there are no doors in the space, then it is considered outside. In light of this debate, the Bekiim Sofer ruled to take a stringent opinion, right, of both ways, of both opinions. And a person standing underneath the lintel cannot be considered not outside nor inside. Again, the Ish Matzliach asserted that according to Maran, you could be lenient, and therefore a person under the lintel can count towards the outside, and he cannot count towards the people which are in the inside. And the Halacha Brura agreed with the Ish Matzliach.